It is a pleasure to lead and coordinate this panel with our dear mayors with whom we have been in frequent contact lately. This is a very important panel. We have the opportunity so that 5 mayors from Colombia can present the most attractive aspects of their cities and the most important projects for foreign investment. So here we have an objective is that you all attendees of the summit can have the opportunity of understanding why Colombia is a resilient country, why Colombia takes seriously the economic reactivation with the active participation of foreign investment, and why our regions are a great opportunity so that these different investments are carried out in a sustainable manner and also in a profitable way for both Colombians and foreign investors. The objective then is identifying these different 5 cities. These are the highest ranked cities in terms of regional competitivity, and these are cities that have the greatest number of investment projects, including public and private partnerships. And that's why we chose these different 5 cities. Here we find in them great attractive points for the strategy commitment for Colombia, the nearshore strategy that has been before mentioned by the president and also by the minister and also by the president of ProColombia, to whom we'd also like to congratulate for this very successful call for participants and investors. So, dear group of mayors, we will have 2 rounds of questions, and in each round of questions, we will ask a question to you each. And well, this pandemic situation and also this virtual manner has limited our time, and we must answer in 3 minutes and a half. So I would greatly thank you if you please respect that time limitation. So without further ado, I'd like to start off by asking the question to the mayor of the city of Cartagena, William Dow. So I will start with about nearshoring and how Cartagena considers that it is a competitive city and also a powerful city in that nearshoring strategy. Because I think Cartagena has several advantages that I'd like the mayor to share. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Well, Cartagena is almost in the center of the Western Hemisphere. We're on almost in 100 nautic knots from Panama. We are at a direct near location with the east coast of USA. We have just a 2-hour flight from here to Miami. And so if you leave by 7 a.m. Miami, you can be at the Cartagena beach by noon. And also, Cartagena has different weather benefits during the full year, and it also offers a shelter in the hurricane season. And we also have a high degree of maritime, fluvial, and air connectivity. Cartagena has ports of world recognition. Our ports are connected to the 2 coasts of USA. We have connectivity with over 27 ports. We manage also over 50% of all our customs operations in Colombia, and most merchandise and goods that enter the country are entering through the Cartagena. And also, with the Cartagena Dam, we manage over 85% of the fluvial load that Magdalena River has, one of the most important rivers of Colombia. And regarding market dynamics, we have a free trade zone, we have industrial areas. We also must highlight the fossil and the chemical industry, also construction material industry, all this with great suppliers and also potential markets. Regarding potential markets, we think that there is great potential in renewable energies and software and IT services. Thank you very much. Cartagena has all the opportunities to be a very successful city, and if we do not achieve this, that would be a shame, as the Americans say. We must achieve these goals. Cartagena has a great touristic potential that has not that we have not really known how to develop it. We are just launching this. We have the possibility of going from 500,000 international tourists to go to 50,000 without a problem. It is also a very good city to live in, and for nearshoring, it is good for companies to bring their executives and employees and branches to Cartagena. Cartagena offers a really good welfare. It is a very cosmopolitan city, and it offers great advantages for all those people that want to be based here. We are Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Definitely, as you can see, we have Cartagena, and it is led and run by a Cartagena and a New Yorker man. He is very acquainted with the business world and a very competitive city, and most surely the mayor of Barranquilla will show that he also wants to attract investors in this Colombian Caribbean coast. The cities compete all against each other, and we love seeing that. The following question, we want to ask it to the Medellín mayor. It is the city of the eternal spring, as it is called here in Colombia. Now, Mayor Daniel Quintero, what we'd like to understand is hear from your own words what the city of Medellín is betting on in terms of direct foreign investment to reactivate the economy of the city. Well, the first thing I would like to say is that Medellin is a marvelous city for investments. Firstly, because of its people. People are very hardworking. They wake up early. They really like working. They like being rigorous and having discipline. But also, we have a great entrepreneurship in our city. We have a history of entrepreneurship, and it has created one of the most powerful innovation ecosystems of Latin America, and that has also concluded or resulted in a company network that is very, very strong, accompanied by also an international trade hub that has been created from Medellin, and also our department, Antioquia. We have two airports with international connections and a great exporter and importer attitude as well, meaning international trade is one of the vibrant items of our city, but also due to quality of life. Many people that make businesses in Medellin end up falling in love with the city, and also investing in the city. Amidst the pandemic, we are perhaps facing one of the most challenging times of our lives, but we face it with innovation, with awareness, with technology, and with discipline, and that has allowed us to reopen the economy in a faster way than in other regions of Latin America. And that has also allowed Medellin to recover jobs very fast. In addition to this, I must mention that we are accompanying this process in various ways. Firstly, by strengthening the demand. 300 million pesos have been destined in basic income models that seek to incentivize or strengthening the demand and accelerating thus the economic cycle, as well as strengthening the supply, and that's why we are guaranteeing 175 million pesos. This will be launched this weekend. We will reach the figure of 500 million pesos with the guarantee fund. We will basically accompany these different funds so that micro business women and men can take these funds because they need these opportunities now. Aside from this, Medellin is also a city that did not stop during the pandemic. It focused on carrying out different projects that will be carried out in a counter-cyclic way. For example, Meter, the subway, one of the subway extensions, also an arena, also the different parks of the Rio del Norte sector, which will also be a great infrastructure project, and also the reactivation. We have approved an agreement in the municipality council, which approves the task who will carry out projects of BPMBs and also citizens that want to purchase these. These will give more dynamism to the economy and will help us progress in a faster manner. Well, thank you very much, dear assistants. As you can see, attendees, as you can see, we have with us very committed mayors with innovation, with international investment, and they seek investments to their different regions. Therefore, we can continue with this very interesting panel of promotion of foreign investment in the different regions of Colombia. Now we will ask the mayor of Bucaramanga, Juan Carlos Cárdenas. We'd like to know then, what are those projects that you have prioritized as strategic projects in your city, and why these projects become in an opportunity to attract foreign investment to Bucaramanga? Thank you very much, Juan Emilio. Firstly, I'd like to thank the president of ProColombia, Flavia Santoro. I'd also like to greet our Minister Restrepo, Minister of Trade. Thank you very much for all your support here in Bucaramanga. The Vice Minister, Laura Valdivieso, as well. And all my dear mayors and Juan Emilio, I would like to tell you that we today in Bucaramanga and the metropolitan area of Bucaramanga, we're the fourth most competitive city of the country. But beyond that, and perhaps as all my dear colleague mayors, we all want to be leading the best city in terms of competitivity to bring and attract investment. And I would start off by mentioning that our great potential is in the university population. We have around 120,000 young people studying in universities. These are young people that have special characteristics in terms of entrepreneurship. And we have been building on something very important, which is to create trust from the administration for investment. We're working in a digital government. We're working in transparency. Therefore, everything is efficient and fast. And we're also betting on education. We want to strengthen bilingualism. We have progress, and we also want to continue thriving so that Bucaramanga can have the possibility of generating productive jobs that are connected to the world. I think the biggest challenge of facing the pandemic of COVID-19 has simply evidenced a different scenario, and we are participating hand in hand with the national government and with the Ministry of Technology and Innovation, and also with the Ministry Union, and everything that has to do with digital governance. So that is a big topic. Secondly, I'd like to tell the investors, our city has great public utilities. This is a city that has a great public utilities coverage. Therefore, I must insist on the defense of our Páramo Santurban, because without water sources, a city, it does not have a possibility of growth and development. And that's why we are facing this struggle to protect our Páramo so that companies can come and have these type of basic guarantees. And something very important that I would also like to highlight, Juan Emilio, because I know many investors that are following this session are perhaps waiting for this message. Bucaramanga will soon be an intelligent city. But aside from being an intelligent city, it will have an intelligent citizenship. I would like to develop this idea a bit more. This year, we will finish off the work of all intelligent or smart city lighting. We want to be the first city that has universal connectivity. Connectivity must be a fundamental right, and that is our great purpose. Therefore, with a bandwidth, with a 4G or 5G bandwidth, we want to reach education to the most vulnerable populations, and that is actually creating opportunities. Our development plan is Bucaramanga, city of opportunities, and I am sure that working in this matter and also also in another matter such as citizenship, security, and safety that we're progressing on with the National Police and with the Ministry of Defense, that we can also not only provide security to all our population, but also manage data with more security. So Bucaramanga has great population with great entrepreneurships. We provide great public utilities, and all investors are more than welcome. I just want to conclude by saying this. When I was finishing my master's degree in China, I lived in a city with a negative employment rate, and I want Bucaramanga to be a city such as Siam, and I think we can thrive and achieve this by developing a technological approach.
Thank you very much. So we can see how each city seeks to take the greatest advantage of its own competitive advantages, whether that be closeness to markets, proximity to markets, modernization, talent, education, digitalization. Colombia is fully committed to economic reactivation hand in hand with our foreign investors. We are a country that obviously attracts intelligent investors, as we heard from all of Ahmed. So now let's hear from Iván Ospina, in his city, which has traditionally been a host to many companies, world-recognized companies, multinationals, in a very open city, open in terms of foreign investment. So we would now like to hear about your strategic wages or strategies that you've been leading up, Mayor, to promote internationalization and to position Cali as a competitive city. Good morning and a very special greeting to Flavio Santoro and to all attendees of the Colombia Investment Summit and Pro Colombia. Also, hello to Jose Manuel Restrepo, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Commerce, Trade, Industry and Tourism, and also a very special greeting to all of my co-panelists, Mayor Pumarejo, Cárdenas, and William. We are all together in this journey of managing our cities. We are in a very important moment in time. As a generation, this is something that we will live through only once. We are dealing with transitions as part of the pandemic. And pandemics tend to happen only every 100 years. The last of the pandemics of this magnitude and impact was in 1917, and that was the Spanish flu. We, now in our generation, are obviously living through the COVID pandemic. Living through the COVID pandemic means having a great ability to adapt and look at how our territories can adapt to the circumstances and respond to these biological pressures, which can lead to enormous social impacts. I would like to call upon all of my friends that are connected to look to Cali as a resilient city which will adapt its processes to deal with COVID. And along that line of thinking, I would like to express the well-being and progress opportunities that we have. We need to look at globalization not only a schematic globalization or as a matter of resources. We need to look at globalization as a technological transfer and knowledge transfer so that as a human race, we can all obtain well-being. In this space, we would like to propose to you that developments in Cali, that you look at Cali Inteligente por la Vida. The idea is to make our city a mecca for the pharmaceutical, biotechnological sectors, and also for food sector developments, given that we have a proven track record in strong industrialization with 180 multinationals that have set up offices in Cali. I would also like to add that our territory is 2 hours away from the Buenaventura port, which is the entry port to the whole Pacific basin to reach billions of consumers via markets in Asia as well as the whole east coast of the USA. In addition to that, this is the time for a developed city and for our intelligent city development to think about intelligent lighting, intelligent traffic lights, the development of information systems that will enable us to be environmentally friendly. We want to attract resources and we want to work with you. And in Cali, we also have worked on many applications for water protection and biodiversity. Thank you very much, Mayor Ospina. We can see this solid tendency to smart cities and biodiversity, as you have just shared with us, and as was mentioned by our President Iván Duque. So we will now hear from the Mayor of Barranquilla, our friend Jaime Pumarejo. So within the value chain reconfiguration of the world industry, how have you in Barranquilla and how do you intend to attract investment? When it comes to relocalization and working with Asia, what are the advantages offered by Barranquilla and what actions are you moving forward with in Barranquilla to connect these foreign investment flows with your city? Thank you and welcome once again. Thank you very much, Juan Emilio, and also thank you to all of my colleagues. It is a great pleasure to greet you. Instead of trying to stand out over cities when it comes to investment benefits, what I'd like to say is that Colombia as a whole is at a very interesting point in time. We have the possibility of becoming an international player that exports both goods and services in a relevant manner on the world stage. At the Latin American level, we have the technical systems, the necessary financial and legal framework and tools for investment attraction. Nonetheless, when it comes to exporting goods and services, we are below the average for comparable nations in the region and in the world. What I think we need to do is that we need to look at how we complement each other amongst our cities. We need to look for real investment attraction, real foreign investment attraction. And we are doing that. The national government is leading this process and we're all on the same path. If companies in different cities around Colombia open new factories, that's something good for Barranquilla because the business ecosystem will grow and that will end up creating jobs for us in Barranquilla. In Barranquilla, we believe in an investment attraction system in which we work with the national government and at the same time we are making Barranquilla into an attractive place to live. And we have a 100-year plan with one of the most important urban planning companies in the world. And the idea is to have a city that respects its land and uses it in an appropriate way to be more attractive, that also creates a city where you can live in a cost-effective and pleasurable manner. And the idea is to also work with industry and manufacturing and trade while we also preserve the environment. This is a 100-year plan that we have. We are doing this, but always understanding that we are part of a national territory. And we understand that Barranquilla cannot do well unless the rest of the cities in the country and the country itself are doing well. So we all need to head in the same direction and we all need to work so that we all do well. And that's part of the success of the strategy that we have that is led by Colombia and the Minister of Trade. Thank you very much, Mayor Pumarejo. And of course, you have our full support from the President's Office as well as the Ministry of Trade, which is really the motor behind these initiatives. And thank you for making this call to coordination and giving this message that all cities are interdependent and that regions mutually benefit one another when it comes to improving our competitiveness and attracting sustainable investment, as was mentioned by Minister Restrepo. We are now going to move to our second round of questions. More specifically, as we said, this is more focused on specific projects and not just on investment. So the idea is to identify investment opportunities. I would like to start with Mayor Daniel Quintero in Medellín. We would like to know what projects are the most relevant for bringing together and attracting potential foreign investors. Please, Mayor Quintero. Here in Medellín, we are very happy with the work that we've done in the first 9 months of our administration. We have managed to move forward with our compass, which has our government policy document, and other points that are necessary to move forward with Metal 80. And this is equivalent to more than 3.5 trillion pesos. So we have 13.2 kilometers of metro line being built, as well as 17 stations, environmental savings of 5 million tons of CO2, which is not only important for our air quality in the city, but also so that we can help to obviously reduce global warming, which is another global pandemic we are suffering from. But we also have a series of marvelous infrastructure projects, for example, Parques de Río del Norte, which are the river parks that we have currently in the Pujará and Plaza Mayor region. We're going to extend this to the north of the city, larger parks. It will be around 5 times larger than the current park, and there'll also be public spaces opened up to an area of the city that has less public space. We will be building 2 new universities. One of those will be delivered in November, and we are currently buying land and carrying out designs for the second university. These universities are dedicated to the 4th Industrial Revolution. It's part of a whole strategy that we have for educational transformation, starting from our younger students with a fantastic program to put a definitive end to chronic malnutrition and hunger amongst our children. We are building schools. We are delivering computers to our children. We also want to give every single child a computer. We are convinced of the power of education. And we also believe that if we invest in and believe in our children, we will have fantastic human talent for the future Medellín, which is becoming a software valley for the world. We are also providing higher or post-secondary education in technology. In 100% of our high schools, we will be offering middle school technological education, and we will also be working with a public university for technological education. We are making great advances there, and we are also looking at specific educational advances. We want to convert Medellín into a software valley. We have an investment of more than 1 trillion pesos. We are building valley software centers, and we're working with Ruta N. And what we are going to do is to really boost and create micro systems of innovation in each of the comunas or areas of our city. And in doing so, take full advantage of the potential that we have in our comunes. Medellín believes a lot in its future, strongly in its future, and its economic development strategy. We've called it Via Software to Software Valley. We do not want to go back to the past. We see everything that is happening as an opportunity to look forward to the future, to become a knowledge economy in an eco-city, in a software valley for the world. Thank you very much, Mayor Quintero, and so participants, investors, you can see that the cities present here are not only developing their own competitiveness via investment, but are also looking at developing human talent and investing in technology so that they have outstanding competitiveness. Let's now move on to William Dow, Mayor William Dow. We would like you to share with us the main projects that you have projected for the city of Cartagena that would be of interest to foreign investors. Thank you much. Thank you very much, Mayor Dow. Thank you, Juan Emilio. We do have some projects that we are very enthusiastic about in Cartagena. It's not about wanting to do one project over another, we want to do them all. We have some enormous challenges to face, but also enormous opportunities in Cartagena. We are starting the formulation of a territorial plan, and we are including enormous bets there. Firstly, we want to fight against corruption and poverty. When I refer to corruption and poverty, well, they go hand in hand because poverty is a result of corruption. We are going to invest an enormous amount of resources in Malecón Ciénaga La Virgen mega project, which is a river walk to reactivate the economy in the most vulnerable parts of our city. We'll be doing this with inclusive, intelligent developments. There, we find the greatest levels of poverty, where we will be carrying out this boardwalk project. It's also where you have the best views of the city. You have a view of the whole Ciénaga or swamp area. There's a completely opulent view there, even though it's the most disadvantaged sector of the city. So here the idea is not only to construct a ring highway, but also a boardwalk for tourism activity in the area. The next project of interest is that we are committed to changing our relationship with the environment. We have a mega project to work in our swamps, lakes, and lagoons to generate an enormous environmental impact. At the same time, providing income through our ecosystem services. I remember when I was a child, my parents and my aunts and uncles used to tell me that we were like the Venice of Colombia. You could row in a canoe from all different points of the city. And so that's enormous potential that we have there when it comes to the relationship that we have with the environment. We also have a lot of commitments to having an impact on climate change. We have 3 key projects here that we are going to focus on. One is our coastal protection plan to fight against global warming. We have a fluvial drainage system. We have a lot of floods when it rains here, and also the consolidation of our thermal stations here, hopefully starting with Cartagena's administrative building, which should already have that system by now. Here in Cartagena, we pay much higher rents for our administrative offices because we have our offices spread around the city. It costs us much more than it would to have one center. So that is a project that we have. So that's what I was referring to just now. The next large project that we have is a socio-cultural strengthening project by which we want to strengthen cultural or orange districts through our handicraft and our gastronomic tradition here in the city. Cartagena is 487 years old. It's a colonial city. There's an enormous tradition here. In the Cartagena Bay is where we find a permanent use of the bay, the longest running bay use in the area. And so Caribes, our indigenous group, used to live in the Cartagena Bay before colonial times. So there have been people inhabiting this area for a very long time. And in the post-COVID era, we also want to open an entrepreneurial center to work on the circular economy innovation, technological innovation, as well as female entrepreneurial projects and environmental projects. This is a matter that we are very serious about in Cartagena. So that's what we are looking at for when it comes to impact investment and what we have ahead for us in the 21st century. Cartagena, when it comes to foreign investment, offers a climate in which, as a point of difference compared to other countries around the world, in Cartagena, you can always feel comfortable that you will not be asked for any kickbacks. Here in Colombia, we want to carry out business at a worldwide level. And so this is something very important for foreign investors to be aware of.
Mayor, thank you very much. This is a city that definitely has many sources of attraction for foreign investments for all different reasons, as you have well identified. And together with your leadership, most surely you will achieve these projects to be carried out. These projects that provide more competitivity to the city and will make it a more sustainable and attractive city for entrepreneurs, as it is a source of a much of the economic reactivation. Now, I would like to ask Mayor Cárdenas of Bucaramanga. You mentioned that you are transforming Bucaramanga into an intelligent or smart city. And I would like to thank you if you can perhaps translate that smart city concept into specific active actions of economic reactivation that your initiative of smart city would lead you to. Thank you very much, Juan Emilio. So, more than talking about smart cities, our great dream is to create a smart citizenship. I think that is that core topic, smart citizenship, because that step provides welfare for a city. We want to take decisions here, not only taking into account our government term, but on a long term. And a stable city is, and a smart city is also a happy city, is where we have healthy and educated citizens, citizens of safe behaviors. They are formal in their entrepreneurships, and they are also sustainable. Their behaviors are sustainable in terms of also taking care of the environment and protecting it. So in that framework, that welfare city, that next step that is required is to build that smart citizenship. And under this scope of work, we will finish all the smart optic fiber broadband that have been subused and that will allow us connectivity. But beyond that, we must also continue covering other aspects of that welfare city. Bucaramanga is also renowned or acknowledged as the park cities, and that is a great asset. We will recover a great number of parks. This is a city that is a bit limited on space. It has not a lot. It does not count with a lot of extension of land, but we want the parks, the existing parks, to connect between themselves, to be connected through bike lanes. And we have master plans that have already been established and that are very important to maintain a continuity and progressive line and to also close inequity gaps. We have the Plan of the North with vision of a term of 30 years, and we have to close gaps in terms of educational, health, recreation, sports, and culture. Access and connectivity. There is another mobility master plan in terms of bike lanes and also aimed for Bucaramanga to be a welfare city. And there we will strengthen bike lanes and alternative mobility strategies. But I want to also tell you that there are some expectations about something fundamental. There is a historic pending in the treatment of wastewater in the city. The plant of wastewater The treatment plant of wastewater in the city works as follows: 85% of the waters do not treat the Golden River or River de Oro, and we will invest over 1 billion pesos in this work. And this river of gold, this recovered river of gold, must be the true development pole of the city. Well, we don't have enough extension of land to develop. However, we do have this river of gold, and that is one of the biggest bets. I'd also like to tell you that in terms of infrastructure, there are important road projects to develop these projects. The Avenue 64, this is a north to south road, also a double lane Cemento Railroad. We also have an investment here of over 60 billion pesos, and this road will take us up all the way to the coast. So there is a lot of opportunities for investment. And Bucaramanga also has an spectacular weather between 20 to 25 degrees Celsius all year round, and that is also beneficial to walk through the city and enjoy the city. So we welcome all investment. We are very much at your disposal. Here you have a transparent and approachable government, and where we seek through technology having a, a mayorship, a smart mayorship of zero use of paper. Everything is done online without intermediaries. So we guarantee that good governance that we necessarily need. Thank you very much, Mayor Cárdenas. And as you can see, investors, dear investors, we find here systemic and comprehensive aspects where we mix or combine welfare with competitivity and sustainability, and how smart cities and smart citizens, and also seizing technology and connectivity, enables the creation of that welfare, of that development of also human talent, and therefore can be attractive not only to invest in these cities, but also to live in them, but also having human talent that can also enjoy commuting and helping operate these different activities that you want to commit to. Now, I'd like to talk to the mayor of Cali, Jorge Iván Ospina. How is your city going? Your city is filled with both biodiversity and cultural richness. How does that, or how is it combined with attracting foreign investment and economic development? So, dear investors, I don't know how many of you have been able to be in a city that has been a victim of massive hijackers, the cartel of Cali, drug trafficking. I don't know how many of you have been in a society that has been perpetuated for over 50 years of war, but our city has been a focal point to these different circumstances. And regardless of this, it hasn't found in culture and in exchange of dialogue the capacities to resist and to reconstitute itself and to be able to have a permanent transition to pave way into development and economic growth. These circumstances that we have lived in the past and we wish every city not to live, that is what summons us here to also call you and to invite you to build with us a city that reintegrates itself, that has peace at its base, and to make our territory our home. Now, I'd like to welcome all friends here present that seek a space for investment and development. I'd like to just point out some of the schemes that we have in Cali. One, a great water pact. We have an intention of progressing on a very important dialogue with all of those that could help us or contribute to preserve water for future generations. Not only identifying water sources, but also reducing water loss and also advancing in the best processes of water treatment, and also treating water adequately when they are again redistributed to the plants. In this purpose, we have the purpose of investing $1 billion, and we want these $1 billion to reach the best partners so that for the next 4 years we can progress in this very smart dialogue, defending and advocating for water, the most impacting and priority dialogue. Our intention is prioritizing, for example, orange development areas, we are convinced that if it is not through the intelligence and also knowledge approach and also appropriation of the latter by the new citizenships, we will not conquer a sustainable growth. And these different orange growth areas demand investors that have already applied models and that can be adjusted to our culture and context. These orange development areas are of great importance. These are cultural and technological focal points, and also with the planetarium, so that that genetic code that we have as humans allows us to know the universe that maybe we do not know, but we for sure the future generations will for sure find a prosperous or thriving space to make their lives. And I want to just clarify that our city will make a huge investment. We're talking about $80 million that we want to share with you. We want to appropriate technology and we want to develop the city of Cali more. The third element is we want to invite you. We want you to be here. We want you to see our different dark skins and understand how our races, indigenous, black ones, and white ones, are mixed. Our mixture with, or our coexistence with the jungle, with oceans, with life, and so that you can now live and have the experience of tasting new flavors and living new experiences. And therefore, we have developed these orange areas, and we call this Pacific Park. This is a cultural process of gastronomy, and also traditional beverages, and much more. And lastly, we would like to insist on the importance of our city in the complement of the SDGs. Our city is not going to be just reinvented. No, it participates on the global initiatives that we have conceived and agreed upon. Our initiatives under the framework of SDGs and specifically on environmental protection are requirements that become priorities in our city. You will have the opportunity to develop these objectives and SDGs, and most surely will have fiscal advantages in your participation in cities and in countries such as ours. And lastly, I would like to insist that this is a technological exchange task. We must think globalization from a different standpoint, and this is a dialogue where we all have to contribute. Thank you very much, Mayor. It is very feels very well to hear you with such clear ideas and with the priorities such as the sustainability of the earth. And we must also respect our ancestors so we can grow and preserve preserve by producing and producing by preserving, as Mr. President Duque says. The mayor of Barranquilla has a very interesting project that has to do with renewable energies. And they are developing a public company on renewable energies, of which they will not only have the supply of their energy, but they will also create 1,300 entities of the district, and that is a very interesting initiative that we would like to share with investors. And these are not only opportunities in this direct field, but there is also other series of opportunities in the sector of renewable energies. And I'd like you, Jaime, to tell us why investors must focus their attention on Barranquilla in this very important energy initiative. Yes, thank you for this question, and this is very aligned with what we try to do. Before we were talking about energy sector as a good business, and we before specifically regarding renewable energies, we didn't see it as a sustainable development, and we just saw it as a chapter within an investment plan. However, we use sustainability as a business model that generates wealth, employment, and greater quality of life. which is a biodiversity and richness that is incredible. All our territories preserve a certain magic that must be explored and discovered. So what we propose is having, we're using what we have, specifically in Barranquilla, which is solar radiation and winds, which are constant almost all year round, and which allow the generation of both solar and wind energy, and which will allow us to generate energy and consumption. These following 4 years, starting with an offer that will be open in the next 2 weeks, we will seek partners to be able to generate a new public utility or a new unit of public utilities sourced by renewable energies that seeks to supply all the energy that we consume at hospitals, schools, offices, and central and decentralized entities that will require around 40 megawatts at a first stage. Secondly, this company expects to also sell or redistribute to the national matrix, and therefore it is a generator and in the long term, and also a generator of the biggest generator of renewable energies in Colombia, therefore not only generating welfare but also utilities to Barranquilleros. We also want to share this with a great news that we just launched from the Caribbean coast, which are the new generations of electric energy. And when we combine these very two good news, it means that we will have an operator that has an investment of over 1 billion pesos to improve the network. Then we have a plan 5 for the Caribbean that has been carried out for several years, and it will end up being or end up transforming Barranquilla into a focal point of high tension, meaning when there is a failure in one of our nets or a matrix or grid, this grid here will allow to cover that failure, and therefore there won't be limitation in the electrical services, specifically for the trade industry and companies. This is a bet to be able to be more competitive, to also provide utilities to the city, and also to seize different natural resources that we couldn't seize before. Therefore, we can say that once again we have a public utilities company that grows and that is at the demand of our times, and that will be very beneficial for Barranquilla and its inhabitants. Therefore, we would like to invite investors from this sector to come and work jointly with us. Also, we have in the 12 knots from the SENA, the National Technical Educational Institutions. We're already having a technical program on renewable energies, and we already have the first graduates of these programs in these different strategies. Well, Minister Restrepo, this is such a reason to to feel proud of these different mayors that are so energetic and so keen on bringing investment to their cities and seizing technologies to, as we well said before, to be able to put this energy to the service of investors, and the importance we see in seizing these investments that offer a reconfiguration of the global value chain. The traffic of goods and the frequency of goods definitely brings really good potentials, and really also neighbors from the region of Colombia want to seize this opportunity as well. This is these mayors feel filled with commitment and energy make us really proud in a country that is definitely resilient, full of thrive, as President Duque says, and how the commitment for Colombia, as detailed by Minister Restrepo, is a reality within the regions, and how we have different regions led by mayors that are very invested in their work, and they're also great hosts for foreign investments. Now, I'd like to seize this moment as a closure before giving the floor to the presenter Inés María. as a great presenter of this very great event and how she has articulated each different event. Investors must know that ProColombia is launching a site which is called the Colombia site. And this is a webpage where you will be able to find detailed information and you can interact with the different regions, with the different cities from different departments. And you can also have more information on the strategies of the different regions and the ways in which the different regions are attracting foreign investors in the different projects that are being carried out by the different regions and mayor's offices. So please use this website. In its first phase, you will be able to identify specific modules regarding economy, human talent, costs, logistic competitivity, also company ecosystem, all the different aspects that make these regions attractive for foreign investors. This tool you can use by entering the URL www.inviertaencolombia.com.co. That is www.inviertaencolombia.com.co. Thank you very much, mayors. I think that you are very good at persuading, not only at a political level, but also on this attracting investment task. And also you are very passionate about being mayors and attracting investment to your region. So welcome to the future of competitivity that you are creating. And Inés Maria, I will give you now the floor, Minister, and Flavia. Thank you very much for having us given this opportunity to the mayors and myself.